pulling the strings. Karuna Amman falls ill, asks for time to appear before the CID. The responsibility of removing the MCC office in the country falls on the United States, says Gammampila.
America කියන්නේ ලෝකයේ තියෙන දුෂ්ටතම රට.
Leopard caught in a snare in Pusallava succumbs to its injuries. Another leopard critically injured.
Hello there, very good evening. Welcome. This is Primetime News. We are come to you live and direct this evening from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Joel Outscoon. We start off today with a look at the top story. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has outlined a set of guidelines that can be followed while telecasting foreign programs. The President had outlined the guidelines during a meeting that was held to review the progress of the independent television network.
During the meeting, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa had stressed the need for media practices that protect the country's indigenous and cultural values. The President had also pointed out the importance of apprising the people on the vision of his manifesto instead of only highlighting it.
Leader of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna, Kumar Dissanayake, questioned as to why he is named as an accused about a complaint on the avant-garde maritime services. Investigations launched by the Presidential Commission of Inquiry appointed to investigate allegations of political victimization. The JVP leader said those who acted against corrupt activities have been named as accused in this investigation. However, the government faction said the Commission's task is to investigate facts related to the matter and that the Commission is not authorized to punish the accused.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, with the powers vested in him, appointed a commission headed by retired Supreme Court Judge Upali Aberatne to investigate instances of political victimization during the previous government. Retired Court of Appeal Judge Chandra Jayatilaka and former Inspector General of Police Chandra Fernando are the other members of the commission. With the complaint lodged by Chairman of Avant-Garde Maritime Services Nishanka Senadipati at the commission, the investigation carried out during the previous government was declared as political victimization. Former Ministers Arjuna Ranatunga, Dr. Rajitha Senaratne and former Solicitor General Vasantha Navaratne were called before the commission in this regard. The group filed preliminary objections with the Presidential Commission. Former Solicitor General, President's Counsel Vasantha Navaratne Bandara, who is also named as a respondent in the complaint, said oral objections will be made against the conduct of the Presidential Commission. The former Solicitor General added that it is disappointing that as a high-level official at the Attorney General's Department, he was summoned before the Commission. He had said he would report facts to the Supreme Court to seek assistance if necessary. Attorney-at-Law Gunaratna Vanninayaka, appearing for Dr. Rajitha Senaratne, requested copies of the documents filed by the complainant to be made available to him to understand why his client, the former minister, was named as a respondent in the matter. The Attorney General said at least a month is required to produce the copies of relevant documents. The chairman of the commission said that the investigation into the avant-garde maritime services was in the final stages and that a review could not be conducted as the summons were issued related to the subject matter. Kumar Dissanayake said that he is not aware of the reason as to why he was named as a respondent and summoned to appear before the commission. The JVP leader further questioned as to why the avant-garde maritime services incident is being investigated at the commission as the complainant is not from the state sector. The attorney representing former Minister Arjuna Ranatunga also questioned on what basis his client was summoned before the commission. The attorney requested time to study the copies of the documents and added that his client appeared before the commission out of respect. Chairman of the commission, retired Supreme Court Judge Upali Aberatne, requested the commission's secretary to provide copies of documents for all the respondents. The commission decided to obtain evidence again on the 26th of this month.
This is all driven by politics. The Rajapaksa rule is attempting to suppress the anti-corruption movement. Even if we are remanded in 7 prisons, we will never stop raising our objection against corruption. There is a group of dishonest businessmen who are protected by politics. One stakeholder of that group is Avant-Garde.
There were cases filed against the chairman of Avant-Garde and he was imprisoned for a long time. Who filed cases against him? The government. They have launched this investigation based on a complaint lodged by one of the defendants. What we did was that the government legally took over a private company. The government received a profit of $500,000 for a month. The government earned a profit around $190 million US. If that was the wrongdoing, we will admit it.
We have recovered a sum of money the country lost. The people will have to decide if what we did was wrong. If a broad investigation is carried out, we will know who is behind this. I request them not to limit this to a commission. File a court case and find out who is behind this and where the money was spent.
කාටද මේ මුදල් ගිහින් තියෙන්නේ කියලා අපි හොයන්න ඕනේ.
සිද්ධිය සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඔබතුමාගේ අන්තිම විමර්ශනයක් ආරම්භ කරා. පැමිණිලිකාර පාර්ශවය විත්තිකරුවන් වෙලාද කියලා ජනතාව ප්‍රශ්න කරනවා. ඒක ඔබතුමාලා මේ යහපාලන රජයේ මේ අවන්කාර සිද්ධිය සම්බන්ධයෙන් කරපු ඒ කාර්ය ක්‍රියාමාර්ගවල ප්‍රතිඵලයක් නැති වෙලා නේද?
I cannot say anything. Currently, a presidential commission of inquiry is investigating it. I can only comment on what I see.
දකින කරුණු පමණයි.
ඔබතුමාලා ගත්තු ක්‍රියාමාර්ග
දේශපාලන පක්ෂයක් හැටියට
If a member of a political party is involved in affairs of a private institution, that is wrong. That is what I have to say. The real situation will come to light after the ongoing court proceedings.
දැනට යන අධිකරණ ක්‍රියාමාර්ග වලින් පස්සේ සත්‍ය එළි වෙයි.
The Presidential Commission is conducting investigations to impose punishments. This is a fact-finding commission. Therefore, the responsibility of the commission is to put forward recommendations after obtaining witness statements. It is not a judiciary to impose punishments.
නෙවෙයි දඬුවම් දෙන. අපි ගත්තොත් ඔය කියන පුද්ගලයා සම්බන්ධයෙන් අධිකරණයේ නිදොස් කිරීමක් වෙලා නැහැ. ඒතකොට මේ පුද්ගලයා ජනාධිපති කොමිසම සභාවට ඉදිරිපත් ගිහිල්ලා එයාට විරුද්ධව කරුණු ගොනු කරන නීති දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව ප්‍රශ්න කරනවා. දැන් මේකත් අපිට හිතෙනවා එතකොට නිකන් FCID වගේ එහෙනම් ඔබතුමාලා කලින් චෝදනා එල්ල කරපු වගේම පරිගැනීමේ යාන්ත්‍රණයක්. මෙතන ගැටලුව තියෙන්නේ නීතිපති දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව.
The problem here is not with the Attorney General's department. Some witness statements recorded in police reports are false and fabricated. Once they are provided as statements of political victimization and sent to the Attorney General, the Attorney General acts upon those reports if they are not seen to be fraudulent. The problem lies until it reaches the Attorney General. It is after he receives that they go to court.
එයාට ඒක එනති. ආවට පස්සේනේ අධිකරණයට යන්නේ.
නීතිපති දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ නෙලානේ අධිකරණය පෙනී ඉන්නවා. එතකොට දේශපාලන පරිගැනීමක් වුණා කියලා ඒ නඩුව යද්දී ඉතින් නිදොස්ව දනුවම් නොලබා නීතිපති දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව ජනාධිපති කොමිසම සරණිය ප්‍රශ්න කරනවා.
ඒක යුක්තිසහගතයි මොකද?
That is the information provided to the Attorney General. There was a police officer who carried out political contracts. They have filed a case in court by misleading the Attorney General's department.
අර්ලේගා මන්දිරේ තිබුණු කමිටුවයි ජනාධිපති කොමිසමේ සංසන්දනය කළ සමාන කිරීමට මම විරුද්ධයි.
එහෙම එකක් මම කරේ නැහැ.
කරා.
හරි. කියන්නේ මේකයි.
මට දෙන්න මගේ ඔබතුමාගේ ඔබට මම උත්තරයක් දෙන්නේ මම සමා වෙන්න. නෑ මම ඉස්සෙල්ලා දෙන්න කිව්වා. මට එහෙම කිව්වේ නැහැ. නෑ මේක ජනාධිපති කොමිසමක් කියන ජනාධිපතිතුමා ගැසට් එකකින්
The President has issued a gazette declaring it as a presidential commission and not a committee. This is illegal. It was the committee that was unlawfully appointed. In this commission, we have senior judges of the Supreme Court. In the committee, they had politicians. In the commission, open hearings are conducted. Unlike that committee, the Presidential Commission will not instruct the IGP to arrest a person, file cases, or question as to why cases were not filed. The Presidential Commission cannot issue orders like that. They only issue recommendations.
නියෝග දෙන්න බෑ. ඔවුන් කරන්නේ නිර්දේශයක් පමණයි.
Attorney General Dapula de Oliveira and Nisanka Senadipati, the chairman of Avantgarde, has no legal standing to file a complaint with the Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing incidents of political victimization of public sector employees. He said the mandate of the Commission of Inquiry is to inquire into allegations of political victimization of public officers, employees of public corporations and members of the armed forces and police service. Attorney General Dapula de Oliveira said, however, Nisanka Senadipati does not fall within any of the said categories of persons. The Attorney General said Nisanka Senadipati was initially the subject of an inquiry by the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into investigate and inquire into serious acts of fraud, corruption and abuse of power. Pressifac found Nisanka Senadipati, Avantgarde Maritime Services Private Limited and Lanka Private Limited should be held responsible for criminal misappropriation of public funds and corruption. The Attorney General also said the Criminal Investigation Department initiated an investigation with regard to MV Avantgarde. The Attorney General in his letter said the complaint by Nisanka Senadipati has been lodged on the basis of unfounded allegations against prosecutors of the Attorney General's department with the objective of maliciously targeting and intimidating prosecutors and obstructing ongoing prosecutions against him. A commission of inquiry is not a judicial tribunal and it is a fact-finding body functioning under the authority of the executive. Dapula de Oliveira said any attempt by the commission of inquiry to inquire or investigate matters pertaining to the role of the Attorney General in prosecuting cases pending before the relevant judicial fora would tantamount to an interference with the judiciary. The Attorney General said the complainant had sought to misdirect the Commission of Inquiry by causing summons to be issued on the prosecuting officer involved in cases where such complainant is an accused. Dapula de Oliveira said it is clearly an attempt by the complainant to abuse the mandate and process of the Commission of Inquiry for the collateral purpose of intimidating, harassing and embarrassing such officer and obstructing the discharge of his professional duties as a public officer. President's Counsel Rohantha Abesurya, who appeared for the Attorney General at the Presidential Commission, was strongly warned by the Chairman of the Commission, Upali Aberatne, with regard to the letter sent by the Attorney General. Retired Supreme Court Judge Upali Aberatne had noted the Attorney General's department cannot play a dual role, adding the AG's department must appear for the Commission of Inquiry.
The political platform was heated over several matters today.
2020.
One group is waiting until the end of the general election to seize Sirikota. It may be Ranjit Maduma Bandara or any loudmouth at the Samaki Jana Balawege. If possible, go into Sirikota now. We challenge this group to pass through the gates of Sirikota. If they do that, the police will definitely take action against them for illegal entry.
Our symbol is the telephone. The people recognize it as well. Our alliance has been accepted by the people. The only force that does not strike deals with the Rajapaksa administration is the Samagi Jana Balawega. We are good UNPers. However, Ranil Wickramasinghe has trapped the UNP.
I think anyone will understand that the Samagi Jana Balawege is no challenge to the Sri Lanka Podu Jana Perumna. The SLPP is on the verge of securing 150 seats. That is, in other words, a two-thirds majority. However, the Samagi Jana Balawege's challenge is to win 50 seats. Therefore, any person who knows mathematics will understand that there is a huge difference between the numbers of 50 and 150.
We see that they are seeking a two-thirds majority. If the government is conducting itself in this manner amidst an impending election, suspicion has arisen as to whether the country will enter a dictatorship rule after the poll, based on certain matters that have been taking place during the run-up to the election.
The United National Party is witnessing a clash between its own members. They have lost their value and their place in the election race. They are whining helplessly due to their current situation. Their insanity will aggravate after the 5th of August.
We will hand them a thrashing defeat. And apart from that, we see that the SLPP is pressurizing the people in villages to vote only for their party. Therefore, the people of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party who join them will not only be helpless, but they will also be distanced from politics. This is the plan that is being implemented by the SLPP.
Issues pertaining to votes have arisen between the members of our party. That is a very unfortunate situation. It is not the vote which matters, but winning a two-thirds majority for Gotabaya Rajapaksa. What I feel is that after this election, there is a possibility that a group from the UNP will join the government.
The UNP is always ready to undertake the challenge of addressing the problems of the people. The party has the required knowledge, experience and the ability to do that. Since its formation, it has always had the experience of maintaining international ties as well. We will not conduct ourselves without fighting. We will always fight.
Remember this, if one of the two groups somehow make their way into parliament, Basil will dupe them. The party is broken and it does not have a future, so he will invite them to join the government by promising them ministerial portfolios. That is the situation now. Both groups will enter the race. It is this group which will strengthen the government.
ඕන වෙන්නේ වාහනේ කිසියම්
A jack stand is required only if there is a problem with the vehicle. When the parliament elections come to an end, we will not require a jack stand. Therefore, they will have to remain in the opposition and not do anything about it.
වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒගොල්ලෝට සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ විරුද්ධ පක්ෂයට වෙලා දෙන දෙයක් කාලා වෙන දෙයක් බලාගෙන ඉන්න විතරයි.
මෙහෙම ආණ්ඩුව
Will you vote for a government like this? They attacked the police and threw chairs at them. They attacked the speaker. This is how the people in our parliament conducted themselves. The people who destroyed this country and sold it to China while selling a match to India are now seeking a 2/3 majority. 2020.
The services that must be rendered to the people are being widely discussed in the country. However, the individuals who make such promises have failed to resolve the existing problems of the people today. This is one such problem that has gone unresolved.
The Digana Niduledama village in Teldenia is home to approximately 150 families who are suffering due to the lack of proper drinking water. Although the National Water Supply and Drainage Board had introduced a drinking water project in 2008, residents complained that they are unable to obtain at least a single drop of water.
We don't have anything including water. Is this how we must be treated? We haven't received water for several months. Come and see whether there is water in our tanks. We are sick people. Where can we go and bathe? We don't have water or money to pay our three-wheeler fares.
Most people in the village who earn a living by engaging in manual labor say that they receive their water bill, although they do not receive a single drop of water. They also complain that water bowsers don't visit this area, although they stand on roads with buckets anticipating the vehicles to arrive.
We haven't received proper drinking water for 3 months. However, we receive a water bill that amounts to 1,500 or 2,000 rupees. We don't have a well or a tube well. The people have been severely affected. The water bowsers don't visit our area.
The pleas of these villagers are to fulfill their water requirements at the earliest.
As mentioned in the headlines this evening, an attorney representing Karuna Amman had informed that his client is unable to appear at the Criminal Investigations Department to provide a statement.
The Criminal Investigation Department summoned him to provide a statement with regards to the investigation. He did not appear before the CID yesterday. The CID launched an investigation yesterday itself. Arrangements have already been made to record several statements in this regard. The CID also reported facts to the court yesterday. Steps were also taken to send an investigation team to Ampara and Batiklo. We have not received information that is sufficient to make an arrest. But once statements are recorded and evidence is collected, we will decide on the action we are going to take. A protest was staged in Pilimatalave against the statement made by Karuna Amman. The protest was organized by the Jatika Helorume.
The Tamil people lost the war because of him. He switched sides and acted all important. Even if he is imprisoned, I will not be affected. But these people were given ministerial positions and the others have been imprisoned for 15 to 17 years. He has admitted to certain things and I don't know if they are true or not. But what people in prisons have done are minor offences. They have been sentenced for over 17 years. Nothing was done to him all these years.
හොඳ වචනයක් තියෙනවා කළ කළ දේ ඵල ඵල වේ කියලා.
දැන් අපි දන්නවා කරුණා අම්මාන්ව දැන්
Karuna Amman has been summoned to the CID for questioning. Assume I admit that I have killed this many people. I have to give answers on behalf of those who were killed. So don't think that the political parties matter here. If someone has committed a wrongdoing, he will be punished according to the law.
ලෙසකින්වත් දේශපාලන පක්ෂය කුමක්ද කියන එක අදාළ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. නීතියට අනුව වරදක් කරලා නම් ඔවුන්ට නිසි දඬුවම ලැබෙනවා.
අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා සාමාන්‍යයෙන්
We believe that killing soldiers should be investigated by the Terrorist Investigation Division. This should come under the Counter-Terrorism Act. So the government that calls themselves patriots should take action against this. Do not investigate this at the CID and deceive people. If you are real patriots, hand this over to the TID and prove your patriotism.
දේශප්‍රේමීභාවය ඔප්පු කරන්න කියලා අපි ආණ්ඩුවට බල කරලා කියා සිටිනවා.
Trade unions allege that an invisible entity is acting against the future operations concerning the East Container Terminal of the Colombo port that is to be handled by the Sri Lanka Ports Authority.
The Sri Lanka Ports Authority has already completed the initial construction work of the East Container Terminal of the Colombo port, including its jetty. This was after obtaining an $80 million loan from state banks. During the previous government, the construction work of the East Terminal was proposed to be carried out as a joint project involving Japan, India and Sri Lanka. A cabinet paper put forward by Minister Mahinda Samarasinghe saw the necessary machinery and equipment, including gantry cranes, being procured for the construction activities. These cranes have been valued at $25.7 million. However, a problematic situation has arisen on placing the gantry cranes at the East Terminal. In a letter addressed to the President, the SLPP's Progressive Trade Union on Commerce, Industry and Services claimed that the process of placing these cranes on the terminal has been obstructed by an invisible entity. The trade union also staged a protest at the port in this regard.
There are forces of the good governance government that are still in operation within the Sri Lanka Ports Authority. They are trying to form a company at the ECT and to loot millions of dollars. There are corrupt senior officials within the SLPA who are trying to privatize operations at the ECT to occupy top positions. They are trying to do this with the support of the private sector. We are aware that they are engaging in dealings with some officials and secretaries. While urging that the activities must be carried out by officials attached to the SLPA, we request the President to prevent foreign forces from transforming this into a company.
During a recent interview with Newsfirst, SLPA Chairman General Daya Ratnayaka expressed the following views on the Eastern Terminal.
නැගෙනහිර පාරයන්තය සංවර්ධනය වෙන්නේ ඉන්දියාව සහ ජපානයේ ඒකාබද්ධ වීම තුලද කොහොමද ඒ කටයුත්ත සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ සභාපතිතුමා?
We will begin operations on our own without incorporating them into the process. The Sri Lanka Ports Authority will procure cranes. The government has signed a memorandum of understanding. We will hold talks with the party to the agreement on how we should proceed. We haven't reached a final decision on how things will take place in the future. We will hold discussions and resolve this problem immediately in our favor.
While the government and the Sri Lanka Ports Authority have decided that the development of the East Terminal at the Colombo port will take place through the SLPA and not by foreign countries, who are the invisible entities that are acting against this? Representatives of trade unions had gone to Kurunegala to hold talks with the subject minister in charge, Johnston Fernando. Upon inquiries made by Newsfirst, Minister Johnston Fernando said that he would respond in this regard tomorrow.
At a time where the topic of the East Container Terminal has resurfaced, talks of the MCC Compact has not receded. A media briefing convened by SLPP heated up when the MCC Compact was brought up. The first question should not be directed to us. We did not establish the office. Only the US government can remove that office. When deals were struck with powerful countries like the US, we stated in the first place that we cannot chase them away if they come and settle down in the country. The United States is the most ruthless country in the world. The US ambassador is engaging in the political activities of the faction people voted against. An election was not supposed to be held on the 5th of August. I cannot remember the actual date. US was informed that the country is in lockdown due to COVID-19 and that a committee has been appointed in that regard. And a decision will be taken by the cabinet after the committee report comes out and therefore give us time till the 31st of August. But the National Election Commission brought forward the date to the 5th. Then they said because time was given to the government until the 31st of August, they should announce their stance and that the government will sign the compact. The government wanted time till the 31st of August to announce their stance. If a statement is made about a letter that was sent before the election which was out of context, isn't it done to grant an advantage for a particular faction in the election?
Out of context. පදනමෙන් තොරව ඒ අවස්ථා සම්බන්ධයෙන් ගලවලා අරන් මෙම ප්‍රකාශයක් කරන්නේ මැතිවරණයේදී යම් පාර්ශවයකට වාසියක් දෙන්න නෙවෙයි.
ඔබතුමා කියන විදිහට කියන්නේ MCC කාර්යාලය රටින් ඉවත් කිරීමේ හැකියාව කාණ්ඩුවට නැහැ කියන එකද?
නෑ. දැන් ඔබට පේනවා ඒක නෙවෙයි මං කිව්වේ MCC කාර්යාලය ආණ්ඩුවට ගලවලා අයින් කරනව නෙවෙයිනේ. ඒක උන් අකුලගෙන යන්න ඕනි දෙයක් නේ. ඔබ දන්න ඔබට පැහැදිලි කරන්නම් ඒක. නෑ යන්නේ නැත්තම් කියන්නේ රාජතාන්ත්‍රික පිළිබඳ තියෙන වියනා සම්මුතිය.
The Vienna Convention is there to deal with diplomatic affairs. That space is considered to be owned by that country. Now Corona is over. We are expecting the report very soon. When a final decision is made, the US will take their belongings and leave.
තුනතර අපි අවසාන තීන්දුවක් දුන්නම ඇමරිකාව අකුලගෙන ආවේ.
අවසාන තීන්දුවක් නැද්ද තාම කියන්නේ?
අවසන් වාර්තාව ආවම ඇමති මණ්ඩලෙ
The cabinet will make their decision once the final report comes. The same people who prepared the interim report will prepare the final report. So we have a strong belief that this report will be against the MCC compact. That is why we are here.
ආණ්ඩුව දැන් තීරණය අරගෙන නැද්ද තාම මේක අසං කරන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. ආණ්ඩුව විදිහට මම කියන්නේ අවසන් මතය මම.
ඇතෙම ඇමති මණ්ඩලය තමයි අවසාන තීන්දුව ගන්න. ඒ ඇමති මණ්ඩලයේ තීන්දුව දැනුම් දෙන ආණ්ඩුවේ මාධ්‍ය ප්‍රකාශක කරු ප්‍රකාශ ඔබතුමා දන්නවනේ. එතුමා මොකද්ද කිව්වේ?
එතුමා කිව්වා මේ කිසිම අසං කරන්නේ නැහැ.
ඒක තමයි ආණ්ඩුවේ මතය. මොකද ඇමති මණ්ඩලයේ නිල මතය කියන්නේ තමයි එතුමා ඉන්නේ.
මම ඔබතුමා ගෝ මේ අවසන් තීරණය ගන්න අර කමිටුව අවසන් වාර්තාවෙන් පස්සේ කියලා
මේ ලැබී අතුරු වාර්තාවෙන් දැනගන්න පුළුවන්නේ අර අපි මොනවාක් හරි පුංචි හැන්දක් හොදිවලදී ලුණු බලන්න හැන්දට අරගන්න එකනේ මුළු හොද්දම මැනගන්නේ. ඒ වගේ තමයි අතුරු වාර්තාව.
Meanwhile, journalists queried about the US Embassy official who arrived in the country refusing to undergo a PCR test.
නෑ ඇත්තෙන්ම ඔහු නාවික බුද්ධි නිලධාරියෙක්. නමුත් තානාපති වරප්‍රසාදයට තමයි ලංකාවට ආවේ. තානාපති වරප්‍රසාද තියෙනවා. මොනම රජයේ
කාර්යාලය කිව්වොත් මේ අපේ නියෝජ්‍යෙක් කියලා ඔවුන්ගේ නියෝජ්‍යෙක්.
දැන් මේ වගේ සිටුේෂන් එක මම කරේ අපෝට් එක ගන්නලත් තිබියේදී ඒක අර කියන මතේ ඇමරිකානිකන් බලපෑමද මේ එල්ල කරන්නේ.
ඒක තමයි අපි කියන්නේ.
ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කරනවා කියන්නේ.
ඒක නෙවෙයි. ඒක තමයි කියන්නේ ඇමරිකාවේ උද්දච්චකම කියලා.
ඔවුන් පැහැදිලිව කියනවා විදේශ කටයුතු අමාත්‍යාංශ එකතාවේ මත මෙයා එළියට ආවේ.
එකඟතාවය මත නෙමෙයි. විදේශ කටයුතු අමාත්‍යාංශය එකඟ වී තිබෙනා වූ ජාත්‍යන්තර සම්මුතියෙන්.
මොකද මම කියන්නේ වියනා සම්මුතියන.
ඔව්. එයාට තිබෙන මුක්තියක්.
PCR පරීක්ෂාව ගුවන්තොටුපළේ පටන් ගන්නකොට ඒක පටන් අරන් පැය 48ක් ඇතුළත ඔය සිද්ධිය වුණේ.
ඔබතුමාලා දැන් ওই පැය 48ක් පටන් ගත්ත කියලා කිව්වට මාර්තු 27 වෙනිදා ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ සියලු තානාපති කාර්යාලවල දැනුම් දෙනවා මේ නීති රීතිවලට අනුකූල වෙන්න කියලා.
අපි පැය 48ට කලින් තමයි පටන් ඊළඟට ඔවුන් අනුකූල වුණේ නැත්තම් කියන්නේ. ඒක පැහැදිලි කරගන්න.
අත්හරින්නේ නැත්තම් මුක්තිය තියෙනවා. දැන් මට මුක්තිය තියෙන කෙනෙක් හැටියට පුළුවන් මට මුක්තිය අත්හරින්න.
ඔතන ඔබතුමා කියන විදිහට දැන් උනත් ඒ මුක්තිය අත්හරින්න නැතුව
අත්වශයෙන්ම පුළුවන්.
PCR ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කළා ඕන හමු මේ තානාපති නිලධාරියෙකුට ඕනදර එන්න පුළුවන්. තවත් එන්න පුළුවන්.
ඔව් පුළුවන්. හැබැයි ඒ තානාපති නිලධාරියා ලංකාවේ තියාගන්නවද නැද්ද කියන එක ඒක පිළිබඳව අපිට අයිතියක් තියෙනවා. ඒ තානාපති නිලධාරියා ලංකාවෙන් පිට වී ආ යුතුයි කියලා අපිට කියන්න අයිතියක් තියෙනවා.
ඉතින් ඒක කරන්නේ නැත්තේ.
ඒක අපි කළා නැත්තේ ඒගොල්ලෝ නිවැරදි කරනවායි කියලා කිව්වනේ.
මොකක්ද මේ නිවැරදි කිරීම?
නිවැරදි කිරීම තමයි ඔය පරීක්ෂණයකට යටත් වෙනවා.
දැන් පරීක්ෂණ කරලා තියෙනවා.
මම දන්නේ නැහැ ඒක පරීක්ෂණ.
නෑ ඒක ගන්න ඕනේ විදේශ අමාත්‍යාංශය. ඔබතුමා අපි නෑ ඒක ඔබට පැහැදිලි කරන්න. නෑ හරි ඔබට පැහැදිලි මට ප්‍රශ්නේ මට දෙයක් කියන්න ඉඩ දෙන්න ඊට පස්සේ ඊළඟට නෑ ඔව් මගේ බොරු මට කියන්න ඉඩ දෙන්න ඒක ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍ර අයිතියක්නේ. ඔබතුමා ඇහුවොත් එහෙම ඊයේ දවසේ PCR පරීක්ෂා කීයක් කරාද කියලා මට උත්තරේ දෙන්න බෑ. ඒක අහන්න ඕනේ සෞඛ්‍ය අධ්‍යක්ෂ ජෙනරාල්ට.
දැන් මම හිතනවා දැන් මෙතනින් එක ජන මාධ්‍යවේදියෙක්වත් ඒ තරම් බොළඳ නැතුව ඇති ඔබතුමාගෙන් ඇවිල්ලා PCR පරීක්ෂණ ගන්න කොච්චර කරාද කියලා ලංකාවේ
අවසානට ඔබ ඇහුවේ එවැනි ප්‍රශ්නයක්.
ඒ PCR පරීක්ෂණ සම්බන්ධයෙන් අහන්න මේක රටේ ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක් වුණා. ඒතකොට ඔබතුමාලා මම හිතන්නේ මේ වේදිකාවේ මේක ගැන කතා කරලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට මේ නිලධාරියාට PCR පරීක්ෂණයක් කරාද නැද්ද කියලා ඒ ගැන කතා නොකර කරපො ඔබතුමාලා දන්නේ නැහැ කියන්නේ ඒක මම දන්නේ
නෑ ඒ ගැන ඉතින් ඒකට ඉන්න නිලධාරියන් අපි අර නිලධාරියා පස්සේ ගිහිල්ලා
We requested not to send people who refuse PCR tests. They are still allowed to use their immunity. The last notification they had sent was that the individual in question would be sent for a PCR test. I cannot confirm whether it happened. Officially, we are nobody in this government. If we cannot answer the questions asked by the media, that is an issue. There is no point in debating over it. I cannot answer, no matter how much we argue. I do not know and I cannot find out either.
මේ විශේෂයට අදාළ දේශපාලන ප්‍රශ්න අහන්න මට දැනෙන දේ මට හිතෙනවා. මට එහෙම හිතන්න අයිතියක් තියෙනවනේ. මම වගේ වෙනස තියෙන්නේ ඔබ නැති තැන කියන්නේ. නිලධාරිකෙන් අහන්න ෆැක්ට්ස්, දේශපාලකයන් අහන්න පොලිසි.
The Millennium Challenge Corporation Compact has created political shockwaves in Nepal as well. As the deadline to begin implementation of projects identified for funding under the Millennium Challenge Corporation nears, questions are being raised about what will happen to the $500 million US assistance.
The deadline for implementation of the projects is June 30th, and the ruling Nepal Communist Party remains divided over ratifying the MCC-Nepal Compact through Parliament. A crucial standing committee meeting of the ruling party scheduled for tomorrow is expected to come to a conclusion on the MCC. Following the controversy, the ruling party had formed a 3-member task force to study all aspects of the deal and submit a report. The panel said in its report that some clauses were problematic and required amendment. According to the Millennium Challenge account, Nepal has already put in around 670 million rupees of its own resources to implement the MCC Compact. This has raised criticism across many parts of the country, with citizens expressing strong objection against the agreement while demanding that the parliament must not approve it, although the pact had been signed by the rulers of the country. The people of Nepal say that national requirements and the country's sovereignty will be hampered if parliamentary approval is given towards this agreement.
Meanwhile, journalists raised questions regarding the Millennium Challenge Corporation and the US Embassy official from the Minister of Foreign Relations in Kandy today.
Millennium Corporation City ආයතන සම මොනම ගිවිසුමක් ඉදිරියේදී අත්සන් කරන්නේ නැහැ කියලා.
එක ගිවිසුමක් නෙමෙයි.
All international agreements signed with the government are detrimental to the country. We are reviewing all of them. One of them is the MCC agreement. Once we get through the parliamentary election, we will inform the steps that will be taken by us and obtain parliamentary approval.
යන්න පියවරල් ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කොට පාර්ලිමේන්තුව අනුමැති ගන්නවා.
ගිය කාලේ ඇමරිකානු තානාපති කාර්යාලයේ නිලධාරියෙක් PCR පරීක්ෂණය කරන්න නැතුව අපේ රටට එනවා. ඒ අවස්ථාවේදී රජය මේ වැරද්ද තමන්ගේ රජය ඇඟට දාගෙන රජය කියනවා අපි තානාපති කාර්යාල PCR පරීක්ෂණය කළ යුතුයි කියලා දැනුවත් කරලා තිබුණ නැහැ කියලා. ඒ වරද රජය ඇඟට දාගෙන ඔබතුමාලා නියඬව ඉන්නවා. ඇයි ඔබතුමාලා ඇමරිකාවට බයද?
වියනා සම්මුතිය කියන්නේ ලෝකයේ සියලු රටවල් අතර
The Vienna Convention is what establishes the relationship with the diplomats in foreign nations and the power to carry out activities related to diplomats. So based on that, everyone is committed to work accordingly.
බැඳියාව. ඒ අනුව සියලු දෙනා බැඳී සිටිනවා කටයුතු කරන්න.
එතකොට අපි දැක්කා මේ කොරෝනා රෝගීන් බුද්ධියන්ස යොදවලා ඔබතුමාලා රජය මේ හොයාගත්තා. නමුත් දැන් මේ නිලධාරියා පේන්නත් නැහැ. ආගියටක් නැහැ. බැරි වෙලාවත් ඒ නිලධාරියට කොරෝනා රෝගී වැඳිලා තිබුණොත්
නිලධාරියට වැළඳීම හෝ
if there is a requirement to find out if the officer in question has contracted COVID-19 or is in need of medical attention, it is important.
We'll be back with more news after this short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Sri Lanka police says that steps will be taken to freeze the bank accounts and confiscate the property of suspects who are involved in drug peddling. Senior DIG in charge of the Western Province, Deshabandhu Tennakone, explained about the program to eradicate the drug menace and organized crime at a media briefing which was held today.
දිවයින පුරාම ක්‍රියාත්මක වන සංවිධානාත්මක අපරාධ කල්ලිසා ඒ වාගේ සමාජිකත්වය පිළිබඳ සියලු තොරතුරු අපි මේ වෙද්දී
We have gathered information of all the organized crime gangs in the country as of now. We are ready to take action to arrest all the people who are involved in those gangs and present them before the law. Also, steps have been taken to expedite the process of bringing down individuals who are overseas and involved in spearheading crime networks by the CID. Based on the information we unraveled from a suspect in Mirihana who was arrested with 9 grams of illegal substances, 490 million rupees has been deposited from a privately held bank. The Criminal Investigations Department is currently tracing the transfers and withdrawals made concerning that particular account. Further, another 120 million rupees earning from the drug trade was credited to a bank account in Minuangoda. The CID is probing that account as well. The IGP has very clearly stated that if any amount of money has been deposited to any account related to drug peddling, those bank accounts will be frozen and the property earned through those illegal means will be confiscated. We have the information on all criminal gangs and gangsters which are operating from Maligawatta and the city of Colombo since 1996. These gangs were engaged in drug trafficking since the 90s and assassinated members of rival gangs. Possible victims of those gangs have been identified and the police special task force is leading a special operation on the matter. Parents and ones who are responsible for the criminals must take all necessary measures to pull out these criminals from any criminal activity. Police officers also face threats. At times, police officers will be compelled to act for their safety.
ඒ අවස්ථාවලදී පොලිස් නිලධාරීන්ටත් ඒ තමන්ගේ ආරක්ෂාව සඳහා ක්‍රියා කරන්න සිදු වෙනවා. ඒ නිසා ඒක පණිවිඩයත් සමාජගත කරන්න අවශ්‍යයි.
A specific set of rules and regulations are in place to regulate campaigning activities for any election. Now, this time around, regulations are more rigid owing to COVID-19. Be that as it may, we bring you the following report.
Campaign laws have imposed certain restrictions on displaying a candidate's preferential number on a vehicle. However, SLPP candidate Udit Lokubandara had used a religious program as a campaign activity in Badulla yesterday. Our correspondent said a complaint regarding the matter had been lodged at the National Election Commission. The campaign posters were removed from the vehicle after the police notified the concerned parties regarding the matter. A program to donate medical equipment worth 3.7 million rupees to the Vaitara District Hospital to mark the birthday of former President late Ranasinghe Premadasa was halted today. Before the event, a group of police officers arrived at the hospital premises and informed that according to election laws, the event should be held without the participation of politicians. We are doing this for the poor in the area. A different law was applied at Pondaman's funeral. These acts are not correct. That after the organizers of the event left the hospital with the medical equipment.
While inter-party clashes continue to be reported each day, many intra-party clashes too have surfaced. We now direct our attention towards such matters.
The monthly meeting of the Waligama Pradeshya Sabha was held this morning and was presided over by the chairman of the Pradeshya Sabha, Pushpakumara Battage. A tense situation ensued during the meeting when the deputy chairman of the Pradeshya Sabha, Susantha Jailath, who represents the SLPP, raised concerns over a financial misappropriation, and in reply, SLPP members of the Pradeshya Sabha objected his question. Minister Johnston Fernando expressed the following views during a public gathering held under the auspices of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. Do not be deceived. The political parties that come up with these lies will be destroyed. Remember that all those forces who tried to destroy Mahinda Rajapaksa were destroyed first. It was like a God's curse. If somebody asks you not to vote for Mahinda Rajapaksa, they will be destroyed. Gamini Jayavikrama Pereira was one of the senior stalwarts of the United National Party. Addressing a gathering in Kurunegala, Pereira struck an emotional note while speaking on the current plight of the party. I considered politics to be a religion. The United National Party is in your hearts and my heart as well. It is very difficult for me to forget this. Although I had made sacrifices for the party until the last moment, I did not attend 4 meetings of the working committee. During the last meeting I attended, I had to encounter a very unpleasant situation.
Ranil Wickremesinghe මෙතුමා හැමදාම මම කතා කරන්නේ අන්තිමට සමාදාන කරන්න.
I speak to calm things down. Only a few members in the working committee are friendly with Ranil Wickremesinghe. I am speaking to create unity. However, I am aware of his ambitions. When Sajith Premadasa was nominated for the presidential election at the party's convention, 3 days before the poll, he said that he would become Prime Minister. As a result, around 200,000 to 300,000 voters did not vote for the party's candidate, as Ranil said that he would become the Prime Minister. Remember this, the working committee approved Sajith as a Prime Ministerial candidate. He appointed a General Secretary and said to take the symbol. However, he appointed a few individuals in the working committee and allowed feet dragging to take place without doing anything about it. He allowed them to speak and did not allow people from the Samagi Jana Balwege like Sajith and Ranjit to speak much. He gave them a few minutes and allowed the others to speak for lengthy durations. When there is an opportunity for us to unite and win, I know Ranil Wickremesinghe's game. If he sees that there is an upcoming leader who would challenge his position, he always chased them away. That is the truth. We had chased out around 65 people.
A leopard was killed after it got caught to a snare in the Pottuvil area today. This is the 5th case that was reported where leopards have died in the past 3 months.
2 leopards had got caught in this snare in the Helbode estate in Pottuvil. The workers of the estate had seen this and had taken steps to inform the wildlife officials. 1 leopard was already dead when the workers saw the entrapped leopards. The wildlife officials confirmed that the dead animal was a female. After a tiresome effort of several hours, the leopard was released from the snare. It was then taken to Nurelia to be treated for its injuries. During the past 3 months, 4 leopards, including the rare black leopard, were killed after being caught in snares. The remains of a leopard found in an estate in Navalapitia. The remains of a leopard that died after being caught in a snare found in the Dellava Reserve in Neluva, Gaul. A rare black leopard succumbs to injuries after being rescued from a snare in Lakshapana, Hatton. A leopard killed after being caught in a trap in Nalatanya.
The 96th birth anniversary of the late President Ranasinghe Premadasa falls today. Several events were held today in memory of the late President.
A memorial was held this evening at the Sucharita Center to commemorate the birth anniversary of late President Ranasinghe Premadasa. The event was held under the auspices of the leader of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, Sajith Premadasa. The memorial commenced after floral tributes were presented to the effigy of Ranasinghe Premadasa. A commemoration was held at the Ranasinghe Premadasa Memorial in Piyagama, Balapitiya this morning. Former Southern Provincial Councillor of the United National Party, Ashoka Dhanavansha, had organised the event. Another commemoration organised by the Samagi Jana Balawegaya was also held at the Ranasinghe Premadasa Memorial in Balapitiya this evening. The event was organised by the Chief Organiser of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya for Balapitiya, Kamal Jayaratna.
Samagi Jana Balawegaya candidate Lakshman Kiriyala expressed these views regarding bond issuances during a meeting held in Kandy yesterday.
We formed a government and were happy about it, but the 3rd month the bond scam took place. Are we at fault for that? We form governments like the others, but who destroys them? A clash was created between Maithripala Sirisena and Ranil Wickramasinghe after the bond scam. It was said to remove Arjuna Mahendan and appoint anyone to the post. The cabinet was divided after the bond scam. The certification for Arjuna Mahendan has been issued by the Supreme Court and not by anyone else. The Supreme Court repeatedly called for evidence to back claims if an unlawful act had taken place, if an act has been violated, or if there was a loss. However, the petitioners failed to do that. This is like Hitler's theory. When the opposition repeatedly says a lie, it becomes the truth. They are assuming that the government will face a downfall due to the bond scam. The government will neither fall nor break. I wish to state that very clearly.
In more news this evening, a UMP Working Committee member Priyantha Patberia pledged his support to the Samagi Jana Balawegaya today. He closely associated Akila Viraj Karyavasam in the recent past.
The UNP has been limited to a mere name board now. We are joining the leadership of Sajith Premadasa to empower trade unions and to eradicate the reckless leadership. We will work towards providing relief to the people who are distressed.
Deputy Minister of Education in the previous regime, Bijit Wijemunasauza, commented on the statement made by former Minister of Sports Mahindanand Balugamage about the 2011 ICC Cricket World Cup final being fixed.
I will reveal this today. The 2011 Cricket World Cup final was fixed. I will state that responsibly. I do not wish to involve any players. However, a certain faction was involved in this.
What I reckon is that they are attacking the former players because they opposed the construction of the Homagama Cricket Stadium. If the match was fixed, it was done on a diplomatic level. Do not ask me anything else. That is what we heard. Do not ask me anything beyond that. As the former Minister of Sports, Mahindanand Balugamage, has to take the responsibility. Why did he not reveal it for so long? Was he asleep? I ask Mahindanand Balugamage not to attack our former players. Meanwhile, a ceremony to commemorate the World Olympic Day was held at the Olympic House in Colombo 7. Former Sri Lanka cricketer Roshan Mahanama expressed the following views at the event. Many who are involved in politics have taken the sport as a joke. I don't think they should do that. We have a responsibility to take the sport across the island and guide our children in the right path. That is our responsibility. To the naked eye, you might see that the sport is about winning or losing. In my opinion, the sport is only about victory. The endurance, patience, ambition, personality development you encounter in defeat is a victory for a sports personality that can never be defeated.
The Pottuvil Magistrates Court has ordered to refrain from mapping the land at the Muhudu Mahavihara in Pottuvil. The Pottuvil Magistrate M.H. Mohammed Rafi yesterday called for the necessary documents regarding the surveying activities that have been carried out on the land of the temple.
The magistrate had issued this order after officials of the Department of Archaeology said that the relevant documents on mapping and surveying the temple land had been handed over to the survey department. President's Counsel Nizam Karyappar, along with lawyers Arif Samsuddin and Mohammad Qadir, appeared on behalf of the respondents to the petition. The lawyers appearing for the defendants, citing a gazette, told court that only 30 acres of land belong to the Muhudu Mahavihara and that no one has been illegally occupied on the land. After officials of the Department of Archaeology had accepted this statement, the Pottuvil magistrate had called for the documents with regard to the mapping of the land. The lawyers appearing for the defendants also told court that 13 families have been occupied on this land legally. However, they pointed out that their housing facilities have been frozen by citing them as illegal occupants. Considering the arguments put forth by both parties, the Pottuvil magistrate announced that the future course of action would be ordered after the survey department submits its documents in this regard.
Transparency International Sri Lanka convened a media briefing on the launching of the Integrity Icon 2020.
Integrity Icon is a global champion run by citizens in search of honest government officials. It aims to champion integrity by naming and framing public sector as positive role models.
Integrity Icon is being run in Sri Lanka for the third year in a row. This is once again an indication that TISL wants to reiterate its commitment to naming and faming public officials who work with integrity under this theme of honoring honesty. The key area of the Integrity Icon is to also ensure that there is public participation in the way in which these icons are selected and recognized. As usual, there will be 5 integrity icons with an overall winner recognized in Sri Lanka. What we aspire to do in the medium to long term is to build a network of integrity icons both in Sri Lanka but also connected to the integrity icon winners across the world to create this network of public servants committed to working with integrity.
The Pathfinder Foundation says the first order of business for the new parliament when it is elected is to focus on the presentation of the new government's first full budget.
Issuing a release, the Pathfinder Foundation says government budgets always involve a very complex process of balancing a multitude of needs, interests and obligations. It goes on to note budget making in Sri Lanka is constrained by some serious rigidities such as debt servicing, amortization and interest payments, which means much of the rest of the budget has to be financed out of borrowing. The Pathfinder Foundation recommends the following. Number 1, there would be merit in presenting the budget within a medium-term framework given the status quo. Number 2, high priority would need to be attached to backloading fiscal consolidation in the succeeding years to meet the government's target of a fiscal deficit of 4% of GDP by 2023. Number 3, in the immediate term, priority should be attached to using some of the fiscal space available to support the poorest groups whose livelihoods have been severely affected by the pandemic. Number 4, the medium-term budgetary framework should set out clearly a path for ensuring debt sustainability to reinforce the creditworthiness of the country. This is crucial given Sri Lanka's extremely challenging debt dynamics, particularly external debt. Number 5, within the overall framework, priority should be attached to achieving a surplus in the primary balance as early as possible and to making progress in redressing the regressive impact of the balance between receipts from direct and indirect taxes.
The UNICEF calls for urgent action to safeguard future of children threatened by COVID-19. A survey conducted in May in Sri Lanka showed that 30% of families surveyed have reduced their food consumption.
In a new regional report released, the UNICEF said that of these, over 80% reported reduced consumption of proteins, such as meat, fish, eggs and dairy products, and 54% reported reductions in consumption of fruits and vegetables. Given that, before COVID-19, 39% of children did not consume any iron-rich foods. The UNICEF notes that this change in diet is likely to worsen rates of malnutrition among already vulnerable children with potential lifelong consequences. According to the regional report, immunization, nutrition and other vital health services have been severely disrupted in South Asia, potentially threatening the lives of up to 459,000 children and mothers over the next 6 months. In order to mitigate the impact on families, the regional report says the governments should immediately direct more resources towards social protection schemes, including emergency universal child benefits and school feeding programs.
World number 1 Novak Djokovic has become the latest tennis player to test positive for COVID-19. Well, we'll leave you tonight with the staff of OKI International School presenting their rendition of the Nagitimu Sri Lanka theme song. Take care. Good night.
Nagitimu, Sri Lanka.